Hey there, this is Ed Beard again with the Employer's Edge, and once again today got a call from a great client who asked us to come in and facilitate some departments through some accountability training. They've already gone through a couple of rounds of it and it does not seem to be moving the needle, and we notice a reoccurring pattern in why accountability training fails or does not move the needle. It's important to discuss because you're going to have to address this if you want to be successful in your accountability training or having people be more accountable and adding to the accountability culture in the organization, right? Take your team through this. Ask your team, C-suite, whatever team it is that you as the leader's working with. Ask the team to define accountability and they'll bring it down to an action level. One, do what you say you're going to do, and two, own up to your mistakes, which is also an action item. Own up to something. Those are actually very narrow definitions of accountability, and because those definitions are so narrow, the target's easy to hit. But people don't see where they are missing the mark on the larger, broader concept of accountability. And until they understand with great clarity and understanding what it means to miss accountability on a behavioral level and even higher on a thought or emotional level that drives behavior and action, will they really understand accountable and become more accountable. Let me give an example. Have one leader who is constantly losing their temper, cause a lot of chaos in the office. They do everything they say they're going to do, and they own up to their mistakes. On a higher level, though, they cause chaos and they lose their temper, and their goal is to get that under control, which is an emotional control. And so they, over the last 6 months, have not made very much progress on moving toward being more accountable with getting their emotions under control, because they look at accountability as like, I did what I said I was going to do, nailed it, and in fact they missed the mark by so far. It's the emotional control which is what they have to be accountable to, and they're missing. Maybe another example would be you get high assertive people. They do what they say they're going to do. They own up to their mistakes, not a problem, so they're accountable, right? Not so much. High assertive people tend to need to be better listeners, and they need to stop arguing with people. Often what they need to do too is quit being recognition monsters. Give recognition to other people, which is a higher level of accountability. Even higher than that is to care about people. They do what they say they're going to do every time. They own up to their mistakes, but they send a message that they don't care about people, and therefore they're not being accountable to moving teams in the organization forward. Transparency is a big one. We see that on the subject of developing trust and respect, leaders that do not tend to garner a lot of trust and respect are not all that transparent. People don't know a lot about them. And so their action to become more accountable is to be more transparent. Well, that's a way bigger idea, you see, than just do what I say I'm going to do and own up to my mistake. Being transparent, being in positive conversation, letting people know just kind of who you are, that's not always that easy. And so a lot of leaders tend to avoid that because it's a whole different level. It's a lot larger, bigger definition of accountability. Another one is CEOs. We run into CEOs actually quite frequently who are not approachable. And so they get vague information. They do not get timely or accurate information all the time because they're not approachable. But they do everything they say they're going to do, and they own up to their mistakes. However, their great accomplishment in their life to be more accountable is to be more approachable, which is a grandiose, larger, bigger idea of being accountable. And we start to look at it that way in these large scopes with large lenses, people really understand they are not as accountable as they thought they were in the narrow definition. Have one sales VP, last story for you. Just a go-getter guy. This guy would just go for it. And he always would tell us he does not need to be liked, right? However, in the first 9 months, the organization lost their top 3 salespeople, and now the sales VP's gone too. Very disruptive to the organization, but he did everything he said he was going to do when he got there, and he owned up to his mistakes, of which I got to tell you, he, in his mind, made very little. However, he did not understand that being liked energized the sales team and moved the organization forward. So being liked was his measure of accountability, but it was such a grandiose, huge idea, he just couldn't grab it. And as a result, the organization is really having a difficult time now. So the point, net it down to how to move the needle on helping the organization, departments, teams be more accountable. Broaden the definition you have of accountability. Get people to understand accountability at a much bigger level, which is emotional and behavioral, as opposed to an action like do what you say you're going to do and own up to your mistakes. And I think you might have more success holding people accountable.